Monique,
Joy,
how are you, you real estate investor, mentor, and advocate for women's financial empowerment? You?
I am so great. I'm so happy to be talking to you.
Me too. This is awesome. Well, you know what? I was looking over your bio and I thought, you have 20 years of investing experience and then you founded Real Estate Investor Goddesses. I mean, I don't think you're old enough to do that. You look so young.
I think I started when I was 5.
Oh, you were like a born investor.
Something like that. All right. Maybe I just all the spiritual work keeps me young.
Well, I mean, I was just really impressed. We've been talking for a while now, but like 1,000 rental doors, seriously? That's a lot of properties.
Yeah, well, some of them have a few hundred each, right? So it's not I don't I don't have 1,000 deals, but we have apartment buildings, we have some industrial properties, a mobile home park, RV park. So amongst everything, we have over 1,000 doors.
Wow. Well, one of the reasons why, I was so excited to speak with you is because we both are just passionate about helping women and men, of course. But, primarily we focus on helping women and also that we're both on this spiritual path. And I just thought it was so great that, that you're like focused on this, real estate investing goddess. I just think that that is so awesome. Can you just talk a little bit more about like how did that happen? That's you're kind of like me. Like I have one foot in the business world and one foot, firmly floating somewhere in the spiritual world. And you're sort of the same, right? You've got one foot in the real estate investing world and then another foot in floating in the spiritual world.
Yeah. Well, I started my career as a lawyer. I grew up with this um, with the story that in order to be successful, you had to be a doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. And I went to law school. Then I was working at a big law firm, partnership track, six-figure income, but I was absolutely miserable. But just to give you an idea, at one point I found myself in the ER with a ruptured appendix. And when the doctor told me that I'd have to be in the hospital for several days and then 30 days afterwards to at home to recover, my first thought when he said that was, oh, thank God I don't have to go to work for at least 30 days. And then my next thought was, oh, wow, this is bad. I did, everything right to be happy and successful. I followed the path exactly, college, graduate school, big fancy job, but I was miserable. So I had to find a different path and in searching for that path, it led me I was willing to try anything that I heard that could work. So I did Reiki. I became a Reiki master. As a yoga teacher. I learned feng shui. I did a lot of personal professional development work and um, artistic recovery, the artist's way was a big part of my journey. All of these things to figure out what is it going to take to be happy. I also became an I through this path I started to work with angels, became an angel intuitive, and that just being guided led me to real estate. And it was not a straight shot. It was a series of guided, intuitive, um, follow this path and follow that path, and it led me to where I am. I still have the practical, numbers, legal, that part that was a lawyer. And I have found that the spiritual path, by using that path, you can attract You can bring in what you want with more ease and grace and flow. You don't have to hustle and grind and struggle to get to, where you'll be happy and where you make a difference.
That so resonates with me. I mean, I have such a similar path in business. You know, I was in the business world for several decades and found myself so miserable, and went looking for, you know, the path to joy, literally. And the same as you, found myself on this spiritual journey and studied all kinds of different things, and then realized that there was actually a great marriage between my current skill set and the needs of spiritually aligned entrepreneurs. So I really, you know, I resonate with what you say so much. And, you know, having now being together in the same mastermind program, it's so fun talking to you because we speak that same language. So, and one of the things that I know we're both passionate about is helping light workers with their struggle with money. For some reason, and this doesn't apply to all, I mean, I think we can agree to that, but for some
Yeah.
reason, people in the spiritual world often struggle with money. What do you see as some of the biggest mental blocks or mindset blocks, and how do you help them, or how can you see that they can shift from those mindsets?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I think so many spiritual, heart-centered people, they hold beliefs. They think money is bad or money is not spiritual. Like spirituality is here and money is material and it's this other thing. And there's a feeling about money or people with money is being bad, greedy, unspiritual. There's also, I think, oftentimes this sense of not deserving of the wealth, not deserving of receiving. Um, and then sometimes it's, you know what, it's just so complicated. This is just too common. And I'm a spiritual person. I can't figure this out. So I think a lot of these beliefs, these blocks, will spiritual prevent light workers from receiving this abundance. And that's so heartbreaking because the world needs light workers. They need us to shine our light. But if we are struggling to figure out how do you pay the bills, how do you handle rent, and you can't really shine your light. We are able to give more from our abundance. We're able to, you can't struggle enough to help other people out of struggle. You have to help them from your overflow, help from your abundance. And money is just an energy. It's why they call it currency. It is an energy. And just like breath, we need to be able to have it flow in and flow out. And I think a lot of light workers will just give and, try to just breathe by exhaling, right? And that's how long is that going to last you? You need to really inhale too. You can't only inhale, you need both. But I think a lot of light workers, they want to exhale, they want to give, they want to give, they want to give, and they think it's not spiritual to receive. Well, no, we need that energy to come in, to flow. And and so it's really important for especially light workers to have that flow. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about helping people with real estate and creating passive income streams is that the passive income streams that's money you do not have to trade your time for, your time and energy for. And you want enough like ideally you have enough passive income streams that it equals or exceeds your expenses. At that point, that's financial freedom. You're working because you want to, not because you have to. And it's really part of my mission to let go of any barriers that people have to fully sharing their gifts, to living their purpose, to doing what they were born to do. And if you have the money coming in on auto, it's just coming in automatically month after month, because when somebody, you have a rental property and there's a tenant, they're paying rent after expenses, that's passive cash flow. So whether you are sleeping, you're working another job, doing business, you're vacationing, that money will come in, and it comes in without you having to struggle for it. And I think that's the spiritual path, to being an energetic match to that flow. And that will allow you to more fully share your gifts, and it allows you to also empower others to do the same. And I think that's a big reason why we're here.
I love that answer. And I really love what you said about breathing. It's like you can't just hold your breath and you can't just breathe out all the time either. You need that balance, right?
Yeah.
So just among friends here, in full transparency, did you have to overcome any of your own money blocks, or were you just born believing that, knowing how to manifest in such an amazing way?
Oh, I wish. Not at all. So I don't know if I was born with it, but I definitely learned some blocks. And, young Monique watching her parents fighting over bills. I have distinct memories of when it was time to pay the bills. I had to like duck because the voices got really loud. Things seemed to go flying. It scared me. It scared me. And my young self, what I came to realize is that, wow, money makes people angry. Money is scary. Like, we want it because there was this sense of, oh yeah, like we need more money. We need more money, right? So there was this needing of money, but it also, when you had it, people got angry. So what I got pretty good at, I would be able to bring it in sometimes, but then as soon as it came out, I would spend it or I would avoid it. I just did not, um, I couldn't really handle money. And I remember I was at a spiritual center. I was hearing, I think it was Mary Morrissey, and she was talking about when, how she shifted around money. And this story struck me so much. This was maybe back in the 70s, and she was going to see this spiritual teacher, and she had paid $1,400 to go to this seminar. And it was an astronomical amount of money for her. So she had scrimped and she had saved and she had driven 14 hours to go to this seminar. And then the guy comes up on stage, and and he pulls out his wallet, and then pulls out this wad of bills. And then he goes, I love money. He starts kissing the pillow. I love money. Oh, and then she's looking at him going, I thought this was a spiritual event. And and then after a minute or two, he puts the money away and he says, you don't have to raise your hand, but who here was disgusted by what I just did? And he said, money felt that. Money felt that. We have a relationship with money. We have this energy around money. And when I heard that, I realized, wow, if I have a relationship with money, I am treating money, on the one hand, like at best, I ignore it. Because I would have bills coming in. I would not pay them. I would not open the mail. I until I saw there would be another one with like overdue on the outside. And I was like, oh, I have to pay them. He's like, I had the money to pay, but I would not deal with it. So I was like completely negligent with money, or I would abuse, I would spend it, overspend it. Um, so I thought, wow, if I have a relationship with it, I am negligent and abusive, and it's very, this is not good. So I had to realize, like, how can I be more loving with my money? How can I show up to money with gratitude, with attention and care? And so I started to, and this was there's a point at which I had $60,000 of debt. Um, I had recently been fired. I was pregnant as a lawyer. I'd been fired. This was like 2009. So I was fired in 2008. I thought I'd wait until after I gave birth, find another job. And then the economy crashed. It's a terrible time to find a new job. And then we have all of this debt. And I don't want to deal with money. And I'm terrified of money, and I'm abusing money. And I see Mary Morrissey around this time, and I realize, wow, I need to really shift my energy around money. And I also there was another person too that helped me see the connection between my second chakra and money, and receiving and money, and pleasure and money. So I decided to work on both of those things. And my husband and I just said, we're going to have these weekly money dates where we're going to like focus on the money, look at the money, what's coming in, what's coming out. But before we have before we're talking about money, we have to get really in a really high state. So we would make something wonderful to eat, or have something to drink. Sometimes we'd make love. We'd get in a really like high elevated place. And from that high elevated place, and then being in deep gratitude, instead of before I was very resentful of anyone I owed money to, like how dare they have the nerve to like ask me for money. I went into this, I'm so grateful that this credit card companies gave me this credit and allowed me this service. I'm really grateful. So, and it showed up with a very different energy of gratitude, of appreciation, of joy, of pleasure. And from there, things completely transformed. We went from within 6 weeks, $60,000 of debt to bringing in over $600,000.
Wow, that's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, my favorite saying in the whole world is gratitude is the abracadabra of the universe. And
Yes.
when I learned that, doors just started flying open. And I love how you say that around money. One of my business partners, Marilyn Harper, she and I traveled a lot together, and we were barely making a living. Like we were eking out a living. And we heard this, a very similar exercise to what you just spoke of. At the end of each event, we would take all the cash and we would gently hit each other with it. And we'd go, money, 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 we love money. And when we started doing that, it changed our relationship around the money that was coming in. It's really amazing. So another thing that we have in common that you probably don't even know yet is that I talk about business as a spiritual practice. And you talk about investing as a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
How can real estate be a path to both wealth and purpose?
Yeah, I love that question. And honestly, real estate investing is a business. So there's that. It's business. It's a business that you can set up and hopefully forget about it, but it's still business, and so there's that overlap. But how it can be a path to wealth and purpose. So for wealth, real estate for millennia has been the main way in which wealth has been created and passed down. among generations. Real estate is not anything new, and even with AI and all the other changes in the world, the one thing I don't think we're ever going to stop needing as humans is a place, like a roof over our heads, a place to walk on, to do business in, um, land, like we're standing on our real estate all the time. So that is not something that's going to go away. It is the number one path to wealth creation, and 90% of millionaires have become millionaires through real estate. So it is a path to wealth for sure. But even more than that is a path to purpose. Um, One is, I think, as I already shared, when you can have passive income streams, when you don't have to trade your time for money, you can use your time in the ways that most fuel your soul. Um, and you don't have to live to work, right? And live to just create, like, have enough to survive. You have, when you can have that coming in passively, you get to put your energy into your purpose. But also, I believe in investing in a way that is in alignment with your values, so that you can, when you're investing, because one of our at Real Estate Investor Goddesses, part of our mission is we only want to invest where we can leave a property and a community better than we found it. So when we're investing, it's not about being a slumlord, getting every dollar out of a deal. It is about how can we in, use this property to improve the experiences of the people who live and work in and around our properties. So, and how can we do this work in a way where it's win-win and there's a ripple effect of prosperity? Everyone is benefited by our investing. So it's not just us as the investor, it's and the tenants are benefiting, the agents, the contractors, the local hardware store, the property managers, the lawyers and insurance agents, and there's this ripple effect of prosperity that happens when you do real estate. And especially if you show up with that intention and you're clear about your values. Might be I'm it's really important for me, like sustainability. And I'm working on this project right now to help people rebuild after the Los Angeles fires, and helping underinsured and uninsured, primarily women-led households rebuild sustainably. So build back in a way that makes that it's green, it's better for the environment, it's better for the community, it's more fire resistant, more earthquake resistant, and also building back with income properties, extra units on their property, so that they are more financially resilient. And these households have more they have more means. It's creating this legacy for them, for the future generations. So when you can invest in a way that aligns with your values, that improves communities, that has this ripple effect of prosperity that allows everyone to win, that is, I think that's the that's a beautiful place to be. That is the secret sauce. It's a way where not only does it allow you to live your purpose, but it is the practice of it is living your purpose.
I love that. That's what I like to call practical mysticism. It's like, even though we're on the spiritual path and we believe in getting our own information sometimes and checking in and a bigger source than just what we are here in this body. I think it's so important for us as light workers to realize how important it is to also be in the world, and I think that is powerful, what you just said about, your impact goes so much further than just generating wealth for yourself. I mean, when you are able to invest and improve communities and things like that, that is what we're here to do as light workers. So I love that answer. What advice do you have, Monick, for anyone who, wants to start investing but, feels overwhelmed, or, may think right now, there's no way I can't do that. I'm not even qualified. What do you say to those people?
That's such a good question. First, you do not have to do it alone. And many people, women especially, think they need to figure everything out for themselves. But the truth is, successful investors, successful people learn from others, right? So find a mentor, join a community, surround yourself with people who are already doing what you want to do. What a shortcut is to be, put yourself in the environment of people who are doing what you want to do with anything, with anything. Um, we always we want to take advice from people who are where we want to be. Not well, so often people take advice from, financial advice from those who are broke, or relationship advice from those who are unhappily single, and it's really important that you find, oh, I like what these people have, and I want that. Um, so getting that education, I think real estate for most people, it's going to be the most expensive thing you ever invest in. Like that is, and mistakes can be costly. So getting yourself educated so that you can avoid costly mistakes, you can shortcut the process. You can collapse timelines by um, learning from others, learning from their mistakes. A second thing is start small, right? You don't have to um, there are a lot of different ways of investing. Some are, and I wrote a guide, investing in real estate from $1 to $1 million, investing strategies for every budget and every goddess, in part because there are a lot of women who feel blocked because they think they don't have the money, or they don't have the time, or they would be terrible landlords. They would hate that. And so I share um, 12 common strategies, or a lot of different ways of doing real estate investing. And four of them require very little to no money. Four of them require very little to no time, and four of them don't require you to deal with the tenants, toilets, termites, those T's, and you don't never have to deal with tenants. You never have to deal with an eviction. You never have to get a call in the middle of the night about a clogged toilet. You don't have to do that. So it's really important to understand that there are a lot of different ways to get in this game and to play in this, and you don't have to um, don't be overwhelmed and think, oh my gosh, I need so much money and I have to do it this way. There are a lot of different ways. And one last point that I think is really important is to shift your identity. I think the key to becoming an investor is to see yourself as one. Before you ever invest, once you can say, I am an investor, but just because you're on the process, you decided, that alignment on the identity level is so powerful. When you see yourself, the opportunities, everything just shows up. I had at one point I learned about bringing groups of investors together to purchase larger commercial properties. This is what allowed me to quantum leap in my investing. So this was at the beginning of 2016. I had two doors, and I learned about, this concept of bringing investors together. It's called syndication. And I I just knew I was a syndicator. And like at my identity level, I just owned that. this is what I do. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a syndicator. And I didn't have any cognitive dissonance at that level. And I think that that is why in that 1 year, I was able to acquire over 1,000 doors. Um, because I just saw it and I knew it, and this is who I am. And so when you getting to that identity level, right? And knowing this is who I am, and also I am abundant. And the words you say after I am, they're magic, right? They're your, it's like that's who you are. So being able to shift at that level. So you want to be an investor, start by saying, I am an investor. I am a real estate investor. And then just start taking the steps that, be who you're becoming.
That is so true. I mean, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but I got caught up in a real estate. I mean, it was actually my primary residence in Los Angeles, not too far from where you are. And I ended up having to do a short sale. That's where for people who don't know, that's where you basically do an arrangement with the bank that holds the mortgage, and then you agree that you're going to sell the house for less than the actual mortgage. And it's not as bad as a foreclosure, and it's just as bad as a foreclosure. The net is that, yes, you sell your house, but you don't make any money and you actually are out of your property. And also when you do that, as I'm sure you know, Monique, you have terrible credit for the next 7 years. And so that happened to me in LA, and I don't know what possessed me, but I knew I was going to get another house. I just knew it. I also knew that there was no bank that was going to loan me the money. And so I quit trying to figure out how I was going to buy the house. I just felt into the fact that I am a homeowner. And sure enough, like within 6 months, I found this most adorable property in southern Colorado at 9,000 feet in the mountains. And it is a monolithic dome. And I was able to purchase the property through the current property owner. I didn't need a bank. They actually financed me. And at the time when I asked if I could buy it, I didn't even have the money to put down. I mean, they only wanted $5,000 down. I didn't even have it. I gave them, I think it was $150. And as soon as I said yes to that, the money started appearing. It started showing up. And interestingly enough, fast forward, I think I recently told you this, 7 years later, 8 years later, 9 years later, I don't even remember how long now, I put that property on the market, and the first, immediately it sold, and the person who was going to buy it was going to make it into an Airbnb, because it's just like the perfect Airbnb. And I kept saying, this is the perfect Airbnb. And just before the property closed, the contract fell out, and so it didn't go through. And then for like the next 10 months of the 12-year contract, nothing happened with the property. It just sat there. And the whole time I kept saying, this property is the perfect Airbnb. Somebody should buy this. It's the perfect Airbnb. I mean, that's what I was telling myself, right? And then all of a sudden I realized, well, I should make this into an Airbnb, and the funny thing was that, like, what was holding me back was I was thinking, I live 2-3 states away. There's no way I could property manage that. But as soon as I said I should make this into the perfect Airbnb, the property manager showed up. So I love that, you put out the belief first and the feeling, and energetically what you want starts to show up. And what's really cool about it is it may not look anything like you think it looks like, And that's where I see what you're doing, with feminine energy, right? You're focused on the real estate investing goddess.
Mm.
Why do you think that the role of feminine energy in wealth creation is so important today? How does that look for you?
Great question. So, and this is though I work with women, this is particularly true of women because we're not smaller, less hairy men. We are chromosomally different. Our brains are wired differently. How we show up to money and investing are different. So traditionally wealth building has been dominated by this masculine energy of competition, hustle, control. But the feminine energy is more intuitive, it's flowing, it's collaborative, it's filled with trust, and it's very powerful. So I think actually any investor can benefit from bringing in more of that feminine energy, more of that yin, receiving, allowing flow. But for us as women, it's particularly crucial that we be able to show up that way. Because there is an epidemic amongst women of rage, of depression, of overeating, of overspending, because we're not operating. We're operating from this patriarchal energy that just fries us. But when we can tap into, I think it's the goddess secret sauce, which is one is pleasure, pleasure versus hustle, right? We don't want to muscle through, man up, muscle through, pleasure through, pleasure, joy. That is really powerful for women. Two is intuition. So women's intuition is a real thing. Everybody has intuitive capability. And women, because the two hemispheres of our brains are connected in a way that men's are not. When they talk about women's intuition, it's a real thing. But we're often not taught to trust it, follow it, tap into it the way we could. So it's partly it's using that intuition. And then it's mindset. So getting over the fear, because for men, a lot of the times investing can feel like a game or they can just do it for more. For women, it will occur to us often as a threat. So being able to like overcome that fear, show up in our powerful feminine is really important. And then lastly, it's sisterhood. We are wired for connection, especially amongst other women. We have our brains will release oxytocin, the feel good chemical, when we are, making love, when we're breastfeeding, and just being around groups of other women. That is very healing for us and it feels very good. There's studies that show we learn better, we reduce our stress, um, we're more confident in community, in sisterhood. So all of that is really important for women, especially to incorporate into their investing. Uh, so and I think that everyone can benefit from that, but especially women. We just need to be able to show up in the world in a way that's in alignment with our nature.
I love that. So, one last question, Monique. If you could leave our audience with one key lesson about abundance and financial freedom, what would that be?
Mm, yes. So first, abundance is your birthright. Money isn't something you have to chase. It's something you allow by being open, aligned, willing to receive. Like let it in, like you let in breath. And also financial freedom. I believe that the world needs you, Lightworker, to be financially free. And it isn't just about numbers, it's about choices, it's about peace, it's about the ability to live life on your terms and the ability to share fully the gifts that you were born to share with the world. So when you can shift your mindset, you take aligned action, wealth will flow to you in ways you never imagined.
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, it's, it's leverage, right? Like you can do so much more good when you're not worried about all of those other things, right? I mean, you can fulfill your dreams, you can help others' dreams be fulfilled. It's just something that I agree 100%. It is your birthright. Now, I know that you teach this. This is
I
something
do.
that you do, and
Yeah.
it's part of what you're passionate about, and it's what you're showing up in the world to do. Can you talk a little bit more before we go here and just tell people, you know, what's happening? Like, how can they get involved with your work? Do you have a website? Do you have some way of them getting a hold of you?
Yeah, I do have a website. It's at reigoddesses.com. And do you want me to share about the workshop that I'm doing that's coming up?
Yeah,
That's coming up?
absolutely.
Yeah. So this Thursday, March 20, or I'm going to be having a workshop, and this workshop is on how you create 12,500 per month in passive income streams. And this workshop it's 4 hours. And during this workshop, you're going to learn, how do you do this? How do you do it in a fun and feminine way? It's we're really getting into the details. I'm sharing all of the information, and it is $27, and and every dollar goes to Habitat for Humanity, towards re helping, in particular, the Rebuild LA initiative. So I'm in Los Angeles, and where that's been devastated. And so every dollar that we receive is going to go towards that. So you can learn and grow while helping others rebuild as well. So that's going to be really powerful, very very, very transformational workshop.
And and I will drop the link in chat also, so that people have that link. And I love that you're. I mean, again, that just shows what you're doing is so needed and comes from such a place of love. I mean, the fires in Los Angeles have been devastating, and you know, on the news we get to see a lot of the multi-million dollar homes that were burned to the ground. But you're right, there's a lot of people that were impacted that may not have been in that same financial bracket, and maybe we're not prepared for what happened. And I love that you're using this opportunity to not only educate people, women, and men can come too, right?
Yeah, a few good men, although it's really on how to do it in a fun and feminine way. But if that is something that resonates with you, you're welcome.
And I love that you're combining that you're using the fee of the workshop, which is so reasonable. I mean, what did you say, $27?
27, yeah, for 4 hours.
That's so reasonable, and to think that it's all going to such a great purpose. I just think that's so amazing. Well, thank you so much, Monique, for giving me a call. I've really enjoyed speaking with you and learning a little bit more about what you do, and I hope you'll come back again.
I'd love to. This was so fun. I always love talking to you.
Well, good luck with the workshop, and I
Thank
will
you.
be back in touch really soon.
Sounds good.
Bye bye.
Bye.